What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. Today's guest is Jerry Landi, filmmaker and owner of Cinema on the Sound, a movie theater right here on City Island. Jerry helped me fulfill a lifelong dream of mine to be killed in a horror movie, so make sure you check out Shriek of the Woodlouse. Jerry also talks about his plans for Cinema on the Sound. So without further ado, please enjoy the show.
Jerry, thank you for being here with us today. I'm so excited to talk to you. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Good. We're going to have some fun. I'm excited to hear all about your career and your filmmaking. But first, I want to start with hearing about your background, where you grew up, where you went to school, and maybe what inspired you to get into the film industry.
I was a delinquent when I was a kid. I really didn't like school. But I started out, I guess it all starts with the camera, right? When I was 7 years old, I decided I wanted to be a photographer. I used to read National Geographic magazine. I used to see all these beautiful pictures from all over the world. I said, that's something I'd like to do. So I went to my father and I said, I'm interested in photography. So my father went out and bought me a Polaroid Swinger, like one of the original Polaroid cameras. He bought me a bunch of film. I remember we went upstate. He said, go into the woods, go take some pictures. Let me see if you're up. Now, I had no idea that my father wanted to be a photographer. No idea when this happened. That he actually wanted to go to school, but he couldn't go to school because he was supposed to. It was a whole thing. So, in the back of his mind, I know he was like, oh, wow, my son's got the bug. So he went out and bought me a Polaroid. And then I said, I want a real camera. When he bought me a real camera, I said, well, I can't see the pictures because I was used to a Polaroid. So he goes, well, I used to be a photographer. If you want to learn how to develop film, I'll teach you. So he took me out at like 8 years old. Took me out and bought me a darkroom set, and I became a photographer. And I started working. I think my first professional job was with the Bronx Attorney Broadcast, which is still in operation. And they hired me because I would shoot, I would process the film, and I would print the photos for the magazine. So I would do everything. I would shoot, work all night with the newspaper and everything. And that was my first big job as a photographer. Then I started working as an offset printer to make money because I did printing in school. It was part of the thing I did. And then one day, a photographer came in from the studio to get some work done, and I started talking to him. And I said, I'm a photographer. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I'm a working photographer. I do my own thing. I have my own studio. I would do work for, like, lawyers, private, like, follow people, all this crazy stuff like that. So he goes, well, if you want to learn wedding photography, I'll give you a job at my place. So I had a fight with my boss. It was so funny. And I called him up one day and I said, yeah, I just quit my job. And I couldn't work. So
the boss at the Bronx.
The boss of the Bronx. And this guy was a Yonkers, and it was the Sazy photographer. This guy was like an old school photographer. And when he hired me, I said, shoot weddings. So he trained me how to shoot weddings, and he taught me how to process color film, taught me how to be a real photographer. Like that was one of my first real strong mentors. My teacher in high school, my photography teacher, was a strong mentor who basically let me have free rein because he saw I had a darkroom at home. Come here and do work. So between Mr. Nusser and John DeSazy, these are two people who basically shaped my work ethic in photography. And through the photography, I made a living and, all of this stuff. I was originally trained as a filmmaker and went to school to visual arts to study film. The problem was, when I got out of visual arts, I really couldn't find a job in the film industry. It was only working for trauma or one of these programs. So I became a photographer. So that's how I was making my money. So for 20 years, after I did all of the wedding stuff, and I was a racetrack photographer, which I worked shooting the photo finishes, I retired. I got a job as a medical photographer. And for the next 20 years, I worked doing autopsies, crime scenes, all the gory stuff. And they were like, they needed someone who could put up with all the blood and gore. And I was like, well, this is my day. So for 20 years, I was a medical photographer working for the city, which was, I could do a whole video on that. Can't talk about that. But so the photography, having cameras, has always been in my blood. And when my wife got pregnant, I did my 20 years and I retired and became a stay-at-home dad and raised my daughter, which was probably the greatest thing I've ever done because it kind of like centered me and showed me what was really important in life. And what was important in life was doing what I wanted to do. So at that point, I had a talk with my wife, and I said, in the beginning, I said, after my daughter goes to school, I want to go back to work because I like to sit around. And then when the film stuff started, when I made my first film, we got into film festivals and everything, my wife said, maybe you should stick on the film trajectory. I think this is your happy place. This is where you can actually be creative and you could just basically do what you want to do. So we were, my wife is a physician, so it was an easy thing to do. So I basically said, okay, I want to work part-time, but I'll get back into film. And that's how the whole film thing started up again. That became like a massive part of my life.
Yeah. That is amazing that you did wedding photography, or you worked for the newspaper, then weddings, then crime scenes. Or what was the other one that you said? And there was another one that I can't remember now. Oh, autopsies. Like, that's such a wide range of experience. And then you took a little break, and then you decided film was where you wanted to be.
Yeah, I'm a film guy. I love film. I mean, I'm a walking encyclopedia for stupid and bad. So I get phone calls from people. There was this movie with this actor who looked like this, and I go, all right, private gallery. So it's like I've always been a film guy. And getting back into film was, it was very, how can I put it? It was a way of, because like I said, for a couple of years raising a kid, you're out of the loop.
Yeah.
You're basically raising a kid. So you see all your friends doing things, they go to work every day, and you feel like, God, I'm out of it. I'm used to working. So once my daughter was of age, I said, I got to go back out. I got to just do something. And I have a really cool wife who said you should get back into creative. I think this is where you go. So I made this documentary about military funerals, which got to the New York Film Festival. And after that, somebody interviewed me and said, what would you like to do? I said, well, I'd like to make a horror movie. So I wrote this crazy script called Racoon, which is about a crack-addicted raccoon who basically gets back at overdevelopers who overdevelop.
Oh my God.
Well, I was in politics, so that's a whole
Yeah.
story. I won't get into that. But at the point, I was fighting the overdevelopment of the waterfronts in Locust Point. And I was like, I would go after these developers, and I actually had a house knocked down. So in the process of all of this, one night I hear like screaming, like outside, crazy screaming. And I get my pellet.
Oh my God.
And I go outside and I see two raccoons fighting.
Oh my God.
And they're like beating the crap out of each other. And they're screaming, they sound like babies.
Yeah.
So the first thing that came to my head, because I grew up in the 70s, was that looks like two crackheads fighting. Have you ever seen crackheads fight? That's how they fight. And all of a sudden, like this thing came into my mind, like,
That's so funny.
Crack-addicted raccoon. So I remember my wife, I came into the bedroom, I go, what the hell are you doing? So I was running outside and the lights were going on outside the house and everything. And I said, I just saw two raccoons fighting. They look like crackheads. He was like, back to sleep. So the next day, because I like to write, I'm a writer. I've been a writer my whole life. And I sat down and I wrote this script. And I started shopping it to all these people. And I said, I have this movie. It's a low-budget film. I can do it, whatever. And everybody laughed at it. Like, people just were like, you're an idiot. This is a stupid movie. So I wound up putting my own money into it, and I got my friends together, and we shot Raccoon over the course of the summer, which was the worst summer. It was hot. Getting beat by mosquitoes. Put it into the New York Film Festival. All of a sudden, Raccoon, New York Magazine was at the screening. And New York Magazine, on the back of New York Magazine, said Raccoon, lowbrow. So within that day, we got 16,000 hits on our YouTube trailer site for Raccoon. And I started getting phone calls from everybody, including a reality TV show, Ed Hall, who was doing Deal or No Deal at the time.
Oh my God.
And we actually shot a sizzle reel for a TV series about us making horror movies. But I just didn't want to be a TV star.
Yeah.
They were going to rob me.
You want to be on one side of the camera?
Yeah, it's like funny story. I was dating many years ago. I had an ex-girlfriend. We ended up on really good terms. So while I was negotiating with the Sci-Fi Channel was doing on Saturday night. That's all I had to do was sign a contract. And the night before the contract signing, I'm out drinking, partying, having a good time, and I get a phone call from this ex-girlfriend. And she goes, I just want to tell you, I work for Sci-Fi Channel. So I go, really? She goes, your name has been all over the place about your show. So I go, really? Am I allowed to curse on this? Okay. So I go, well, what do you say? She goes, they're going to fuck me. And I go, what do you mean they're going to fuck me? And then she went over a list of how they were going to take my trademark, how how they were going to take, like, okay, we got the Racoons in the
Oh,
back.
so she was looking out for you.
They were going to film, yeah, well, I always say, when you have an ex-girlfriend, leave off on good terms. So you never know when it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. But that Racoons movie, that was a movie Sci-Fi Channel was going to do. I also had a movie about giant herpes crabs. I pitched it, they said yes. So I go, all right. But at that point, I was really intent on just doing my own thing. And I realized that the reality show, it would have been on Sci-Fi Channel Saturday nights, right? It was going to be 10 weeks of us making the series, and then at the end of it, they were going to show the premiere on Saturday. So whatever money they made off Bat Rat T-shirts, Bat Rat dolls, I would see. So the next day, I go into this meeting, and everybody's there, champagne, grapes, and stuff. And
assuming you're getting ready to sign on the dotted line.
They're grooming me. And I go,
oh my gosh.
I got a phone call from an old girlfriend. And I said to them, always leave off good directions. So I go, what do you mean? I said, well, I got a phone call from somebody else and told me you guys were going to go. And I read off the list. And the girl who was the showrunner was like, so I said, be careful, who you sleep with. She was like, sleeping with you off the TV? And I go, I hope that's a joke. I said, because I'm a married man, and if I was single, I probably would have had you ready. I just basically like totally shit on her.
Yeah.
And said, no, I'm leaving. And I left. And then 2 years later, he came back with another proposal. And I said, I don't want to be a reality TV star. And reality TV, just to let you know, is not real. They were setting up scenarios for me.
Yeah.
It's like, I would have people attack me on the street and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? And I realized they set it up. We would have an audition. They sent ringers in. And I didn't, this one woman looked like she was having an orgasm. She was, and I'm just like, and I got the film because I have the sizzle reel. I'm sitting there and go, it's really good, And they pulled me aside and said, why didn't you yell at her and tell her she was terrible? I go, because that's not me. I don't do that. Like, people come and audition for me. They may be horrible. I say, God, that was really good. I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. So they were going to turn, and the sizzle reel is great. I got to show it to you. They made everybody look like idiots but me. And they were trying to sell that to me. And I was like, but these are my friends.
Yeah.
I said, so you're going to make fun of my friends and I'm not even going to get paid for it? I said, you guys are giving me nothing. I said, and you really don't know me. I'm an honorable guy. I would never do that. So that was my small foray into the TV world. And I decided just to go back and do my horror films and my documentaries. Just live that. That's my comfort zone.
That's amazing. I cannot believe that. Especially the New York Times thing that, or the New York Magazine.
I still have it framed.
That's amazing.
Well, it was great because then San Francisco, the Roxy Theater, which is a place I could only imagine playing at, they called me to do a cartoon night. And I was like, San Francisco. So I was like, really? We went out there and 3 critics reviewed the movie. 2 people got it. Raccoon is a goof on 70s horror movies, like the Raccoons back there. They're puppet movies. They're not meant to be taken seriously. And the people who got it. It won tons of awards. Best cult movie, best horror film. I got best director for the sequel. So the people who got it, but one reviewer gave me a bad review, right? And I refused to go to the opening. I said, I'm not going. I went down to 10 people. And I'm in the hotel. I was early in the career. My skin wasn't as thick as it is now. And I'm like, screw them. I ain't going to the movie. Nobody's going to show up anyway because the guy gave me a bad review. So after about 2 hours, they convinced me to go. And we rented a van. And we pulled up to the theater and there's a line around the block. Oh my God. So I go, what are the movies playing tonight? I go, it's only you. I go, these people didn't see Raccoon? So I go, yeah. So we park the car and we pull up. And there's all these people online. And I go, I got to get into the theater. And I go, and all of a sudden these guys open the theater. And the whole theater doors open up. And gosh, the marijuana smoke comes out of the theater. And these 2 guys come out of the theater and goes, Jerry Landi! And I swear to God, they were witnesses to this. People jumped off the line and started taking pictures.
Oh my God.
And who the cartoon guy? There was a couple that lived in the Bronx that lived in San Francisco and drove to go to the screening just to meet me. And it was one of those, I tell people, you have that one moment where you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, they got it. Like, and that was the moment. The Roxy was sold out. It was the first time they ever sold out the Roxy. And I actually gave up my seat to a woman with an oxygen tank.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I was sitting back, this woman coming in with the mask, and there's no seat. I go, sit down. She goes, but aren't you going to watch Lewis?
Yeah.
And the Q&A was amazing. And during the Q&A, I said, I almost didn't come here tonight because a guy gave me a bad review and some guy stood up and goes, who was it? We'll kill him. And I was like,
oh my God.
this is like, and from then on, it became like a cult thing. So I would go to places and people would hear Racoon. I was at the Bronx Zoo one day and I heard people, I don't know if they saw me, but somebody said, where did Racoon? And I was like, wow. It became a really crazy.
It was like a cultural moment, yeah.
Thing. Yeah, and the Red Eye is the anti-hero. He's basically fighting for the rights of a kid who's abused by his parents, and he's fighting to keep the waterfront because what was happening in Locust Point was all these animals would be dislocated into our neighborhood. So we were seeing like big stumps of raccoons that we never saw before because they were overdeveloped monsters. They had nowhere to live. So it became like a political cause because I was in politics at that point. And anytime I make a movie in the neighborhood, I make sure I have a screening and give the money to like the veterans or like just give back to the neighborhood because the neighborhood has always been really good in my movies. Like they give me locations, they let me film in the house.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm a neighborhood guy. I grew up in the Bronx. I'm a Bronx filmmaker. I want to make sure that the Bronx is shown in a good light. You know, because I travel and people have this really bad impression of the Bronx. It's all burned down buildings and people shooting each other.
Yeah.
I show the Bronx as a different place. Really cool place.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So how did you, like, after Racoon, the dust settles, how did you decide what your next movie was going to be and, you know, who you were going to work with, what you wanted your main role to be? Did you want to keep writing or were you a jack of all trades? You know, kind of thing. Like,
well, the first Racoon I hired a DP, but he bowed out like halfway after his work. So I wound up shooting everything in Racoon, doing everything, editing it, shooting it, wrote it, did the sound design. I actually played a victim and I played a rabbi. But when that movie was made, I saw that I did all the credits. I put fake names.
oh my
Like
gosh.
Judd Hirsch and like all these Abe Vigoda, and I would put all these fake names in the credits so I didn't look like the idiot who did the whole movie by himself. But I did. What happened was somebody actually saw Racoon and offered to give me like $35,000. Like we raised $35,000 to shoot the sequel. And I like the first one because the second one is like high tech special effects. We had creatures built, animatronic creatures that shot blood out of their mouth and all this crazy stuff. Racoon 2 did very well. It got distribution, which is my first movie that got distribution. It went worldwide. It's been the most bootleg movie ever. My distributor tells me all the time.
That's so funny.
She goes, everybody bootleg. Yeah, I get reports every day.
Oh my God.
Cool.
Yeah.
I made exactly $9 for
wow.
the second one. The first one I made a little more, but the second one I made $9.
Wow.
And it got major distribution. So it's like, you don't do it for the money, you do it for the love.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand how these young filmmakers are paying their rent because I couldn't pay my rent on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, you can tell that you have a real passion for it. Even just like having the power to turn down that deal from the sci-fi.
I would probably be a laughing stock right now.
Thank God.
No, and nobody would take me serious as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Now I get invited to film festivals. I win awards. People take my movie serious. They might not have taken the movies that serious.
Yeah.
Food on TV.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be the Jersey Shore, and it's all phony. I mean, you know, I told him, I said, and I had a meeting with him. I said, I have the kind of life where things happen. You talk to my wife. I walk down the street. I've met celebrities. I've been involved. Racoon 2, I had a playmate in the movie. And I was almost going to the Playboy Mansion, which has been my life dream, and I have had it now. So I'm very upset about that, because I always want to go to the Grotto. I just want to go to the Grotto. And I met playmates, and one of them was in my movie, and I started hanging out with all these older playmates. You know, I'm hanging out with the ones that are my age. And I was like, finally, because she said, next time you come to California, I'm taking you to
Oh my gosh.
And that's all I kept thinking about. And then he had to die.
Oh my God.
I just stayed alive for another 3 months.
Yeah.
I've been in the Grotto. But yeah.
Taking some selfies.
But I was at a film festival a couple of weeks ago. I have a Holocaust film now, which is about a violinist who's a Holocaust survivor. And all the filmmakers were sitting around talking. And it's all about the passion. We, especially in days like this, when you see something like the rise of hate is getting worse, right? So when I met this Holocaust survivor, he basically went out to schools and taught tolerance. So I thought that would be a good project for me, because I thought that right now we need to show that we need tolerance, and especially teaching it to our kids. And I made the movie. I made 2 documentaries at the time. One was about a guy who made softcore porn movies, and one was about this Holocaust. It was a very weird time in my life because I'm watching videos of women naked and getting whipped, and then I'm talking about people who are dying in the Holocaust. So it was very strange. And right after I shot the Holocaust survivor, I get a phone call from him, and he says, "I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. I'm going to the hospital. I'll talk to you." That was 4 years ago.
Oh my God.
And we're trying to track him down. So I held off on putting that movie out because I wanted him to see it and I wanted his approval on it. But 4 years, we put tracks on him. We don't know if he died.
Yeah.
His name is Sam Warner. He's a famous violinist. So I finally released the movie. It went to the Long Island Film Festival, got nominated for Best Documentary. And I got beaten by a movie which I thought I should have gotten beaten by. I never feel that way. But this time I felt that way. Because people were crying.
Yeah.
People don't cry during movies. They usually go, "Oh,
yeah.
But I had grown men crying during this movie. And when I got up, I started getting like emotional about it. But the subject matter is intense. So it's funny because I live in like two worlds where I make these really documentaries, like passion documentaries, and then I make these crazy whacked out horror movies, which people want to see.
Yeah.
Like my movie about Racoons is on Amazon. I'm actually seeing money from it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it's a sick movie. It's a lot.
That's awesome. So do you have like a solid crew now that you work with for any new movie that you make and you come out with? And have you known them forever, or are there new people that have come into the works? Or
most of them are like kids I knew since I was like 7.
Wow, and they all have that same kind of passion.
Well, I think I forced them into it. Well, what happened was with Racoons, I was doing it with some, and they just weren't professional. They backed out. So I grabbed my friends. This is how it all started, and I said, "I need your help to make this movie. I just need like grips and stuff. I can do everything." And I hired my friend to do the gore effects. He's an artist, and we just ripped everybody apart. Like we ripped faces off, stomachs open. We had the Racoon eating guts. It was just so much fun. We would come home at night and shower ourselves in the backyard and hang all these dead animals.
Oh my God!
Like all the things covered in blood. And I remember one day, I didn't know. I was so out because I was shooting that. We had my nieces and nephews come. They were really small.
Oh my God!
And I had all these dead animals from clothes on the backyard with blood dripping from them. And they came, and I was sleeping, and I heard a scream. And I got up, and the kids were like horrified. And they go, "Don't worry, your Uncle Jerry just made a horror movie. He was cleaning his animals last night."
Oh my God!
Yeah. My neighbors, they used to love when I film movies. They look over the backyard because I would do a lot of effects in my yard, so I could, control it. Had a lot of blood all over the place. So.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What would you say is your favorite film?
Of mine?
Yeah.
Bill Huxtable's Serial Rapist.
Oh my gosh, please tell us.
I think every filmmaker wants to make that film that really disgusts people. I mean, that's how I feel. And I've talked to other filmmakers about it. I'm not alone in this, right? Now, the documentary I'm showing this weekend at the cinema is about Joel and Reed who make Bloodsucking Free, which to me is the most graphic, horrific, and mind-fucking movie you'll ever see, right? I love this movie. So I wanted to make that movie. So at the time, Bill Cosby was going through all this stuff. And my friend Sean Weathers, he's a guerrilla filmmaker, he goes, "I want to work with you." And I said, "I have this idea for a Bill Cosby movie." And he goes, "Well, so do I." So I go, "Okay, let's write the scripts and let's switch the scripts. And we'll vote on which one is better." So after he read my script, he goes, "Your script is better. We're going to shoot your script." And he played Cosby. And the movie basically shows Bill Cosby. He kidnaps girls, rapes them, sells their babies on the black market. There's a lot of torture scenes. There's a lot of rape scenes. And it's so bad that Cosby actually tried to put a cease and desist on it. And then he got arrested. So that all. I actually tried to friend Cosby. He sent me. He sent me to the block.
Oh my God.
But yeah, we really went off. We called it Bill Huxtable. Huxtable was his name in the TV series.
Yeah.
And it's basically Bill Cosby's life. We do like the Cosby Show. We do like we did Kids Say the Dumbest Thing. And we did all of that. This guy played Bill Cosby. And then also has a basement where he's torturing all these women. The film that my wife saw in almost second guessed, like, "Oh, wedding. Like, why did I marry this guy?" But it's the movie that made me the most money, right?
Really?
Because people want to see that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got, like, somebody said your career's over after this, nobody's going to want it. I said, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's the movie I wanted to make. It's just, I made it to screw with people's heads.
Yeah.
I specifically made it for that reason. And then after that, I made a beautiful movie that won writing, best actor, because I felt like I had to, like, redeem myself and make this beautiful movie with no person, no nudity, no sex, no violence. But Bill Huxtable's Serial Rapist is the movie I watched. like when I sit down and watch one of my movies, that's
Yeah. That's awesome. Where can we see all of these movies? I know you said, I think Bat Radix is on
Bat
Amazon,
Radix
right?
is on Amazon. Bill Huxtable was actually on Amazon Prime. They wouldn't put Raccoon on, but they put Bill Huxtable on.
Oh my God.
Now, I actually, my distributor, when Blood March Raccoon went on Xbox, this is a pin I wear very proud. We met with Xbox people because Blood March Raccoon was on their platform, and you know they're showing video games and you could make my movie, right? My trailer was so graphic and had curses in it that they banned the movie until I recut the trailer, right? So I had to make a green band trailer, which is the equivalent of like a Disney trailer. Like, don't show person, don't show violence. I like to put everything in my trailer so people what they can see, right? So I go to the executive, I go, let me ask you a question. Aren't you guys who have this game where you pick up prostitutes and beat them in the back of the car? I said, and isn't a game that kids play? And they just said,
oh my gosh.
So I go, I have no problem playing the game because I want the movie out there. I said, but do you see the hypocrisy in this? Like, you guys have games where you're beating hookers. Kids are beating hookers in the back of cars, and you're worried about a crack-addicted raccoon who's eating people. At least my guy has a purpose. They're cheering for him. Nobody's cheering for the guy beating the hooker in the back of the car. So it was like the whole Xbox thing. I love telling that story because it was like, even my distributor would tell everybody she was hysterical laughing. Because you never didn't believe what happened. I'm like, okay.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear, because you've worked on so many different projects. You're an independent filmmaker, right? That's what you would call yourself. Has there ever, have you ever faced any challenges as being a solo business owner, an entrepreneur, if you will, that you've had to overcome while making these films and these passion projects?
Well, making a film is hard. So people think that when you make a film, it's a lot of fun. This is why, I weeded out a lot of people in the process who basically were like, "Oh, this is work. I can't."
Yeah.
It's work. It's long days, and opposed to most filmmakers, I do an 8-hour day. Most of them do 20-hour days. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in killing my actors because you want them fresh. But I kind of lost my train of thought there.
So looking to hear if you've come across any challenges, anything that you've had to overcome, and you're running your own business, and
well, when you're making a movie, there are challenges at every step. Sound. Right. Getting a good picture, lighting, location. Right. You shoot the location, and the minute you're shooting, somebody upstairs starts banging on the door, or you're outside shooting and someone starts with a jackhammer. Right. So those are things that you deal with every day as a filmmaker. And after going through all of that, you have to basically go out and do the film festival circuit. Now, you don't always get to film festivals. It's kind of like... How
do you enter yourself? That sounds funny to say.
There's a website, and it's a thing called Film Freeway. And what they do is they list all the film festivals in the country, and the world, really. And you punch in your movie, you join the website, and as a filmmaker, you punch in your projects, and then you say, I'm looking for horror festivals, and then they come up with all the festivals you can join. So you got to pay anywhere from a $10 fee to $50, $60 fee just to get them to look at your movie. So you could enter 10 film festivals and maybe 1 or 2 of them will pick you up. And that's the struggle because a lot of filmmakers don't have the money to put them into festivals. I know lots of filmmakers make great movies, but they go, I can't afford to spend $400 and not have the movie screen anywhere. But I think that I became such a niche guy that a lot of film festivals picked up my film, so I got lucky. I was very lucky with that. So not only did the film festivals pick me up, but I started picking up awards, and that helps. So then when you go out there and, on your IMDb page, which I really don't keep up with because it's so far behind, but they look at your IMDb page and they say, wow, this guy's won awards for best directing, best acting, best screenwriting. So it's kind of like you're always promoting yourself because the ultimate goal is to get distribution, is to have someone actually see your movie. And that's the hardest struggle in this business. Now it's a little easy because there's so many streaming platforms, but they're not giving you anything. It's like you're making, if you rent a movie on Amazon for $3.99, maybe you're making $2 on Amazon. So it's like, it's really hard for young filmmakers. Now, when someone has a $10 million budget, and they already know that it's going to go to theaters and it's going to go on Disney and everything, they have the option of having a little more free reign of this. I don't have that option. I have to go to the film festival. I have to introduce the film. I have to sit there with the Q&A. I meet the fans. And this is stuff I like. I love to talk. So I go there, I meet filmmakers, you make connections.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, I know a distributor who's looking to renting music movies, why don't you call them? So I've had a bunch of my movies distributed on major platforms, on streaming services. So I've been lucky. Not everybody's that lucky. And it's only because I'm tenacious. I just keep working.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the goal is to have people see your film. So I know filmmakers who make these movies and they show it to their friends and make good films. And I go try it out. I'm tired of wasting money for film festivals. So I said it's a struggle, it's a challenge, but if you really want to succeed, you keep banging.
Yeah.
Like you don't stop. And I don't stop. I just never stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I'm successful. It's not because I'm smarter. It's not because I know more than anybody else or I know more about the business. It's because I'm always out there trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
No matter what I've done, I've always given it 200%.
Yeah.
And I rarely fail. I've been very lucky that way.
That's awesome.
This episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast was brought to you by me, Will Ferrero. I'm an attorney at Prior Law right here in the Bronx, and we primarily practice in personal injury. However, we do also do a variety of areas of practice. So I can help you with just about any sort of legal issue that you might have. I'm admitted to practice both in New York and New Jersey. And if it's not something that I can personally help you with, I can connect you with someone in my network of attorneys who is best equipped to help you with your legal issue. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Bronx Attorney. You can send me an email, Ferrero@Prior Law, or call me at the office, 718-829-0222. And now back to the show.
So we're sitting in the cinema on the sound, right?
In our new lounge.
In the new lounge.
The creatures usually aren't here, but I'm teaching a class, I'm teaching a film class here. So the first day of class, I brought all the creatures in because the best way to get kids interested is to show them that you're into cool stuff. So the first day, the kids would get playing with the creatures, and I'm saying, yeah, these aren't real. Like one kid was a little afraid.
Oh.
And I said, this is why I show it to you, because there are no such thing as monsters. We create monsters.
Yeah.
We make them.
That is so true.
Yeah. So it's like one of the things that my daughter, because she was raised on this film, she knew from the beginning that there were 3 people pumping the creature off set and stuff. So she was never afraid of monsters.
That's good.
And that's why I try to tell kids.
Yeah. That's
They're
amazing.
Monsters, but they're not.
I'd love to hear how you got the inspiration to open this space. And I want to hear more about the classes that you teach, because I think that's amazing that you work with kids. And more about the movies that you show here as well. If you show your movies or other movies and how you pick those and all that good stuff.
Well, we started with Pete and Clipper Coffee. I started working there because I was getting really bored, because it was actually after that Racoons, and I moved here, and I was hanging out at the bar doing nothing. I was retired. My daughter was going to school, so I was looking for work. And Pete one day, it was so funny, I went in there with my niece, and Pete had to run out, and he goes, "Could you guys watch the post?" I go, "I've never done anything." And my niece goes, "I work at Starbucks," so my niece and I worked at the coffee shop. And then the next day, I told Pete, I go, "Do you need help here?" Because I noticed that he had kids and all that. He goes, "Yeah, I could really use help." So I started working with Pete at the coffee shop. And in the coffee shop, we started doing like art shows and stuff. And I said, "Why don't we start doing movie night and show independent films?" I'll start by showing, like, Bat Radicus, which is just coming out. I said, we'll premiere that. And since people out here knew me, I know I was going to get a crowd. We got to go get a crowd. So then every month, we would do a film program where we would either do, like, short. At that point, we would just basically do an independent film. So doing short programs, so we would show 5 or 6 short films. Then we would show someone's film. And we would get a crowd. And then the pandemic. And the pandemic basically shut all that down. So after the pandemic, when things started opening up, this space opened up, and we did a lot of renovations on the spot. Mm-hmm. And when the spot opened up, Pete came to me and said, "What do you think about opening a theater here?" So I go, "I have all the equipment. I could set the theater up like really fast." I said, "And through my contacts in the film business, I could get films here." So I worked in here, and you've been here. You just were here this weekend. We had a play this weekend that was very successful, and I started showing independent and low budget movies. Old movies on Sunday for the old people. I have a $5 matinee, so I know a lot of old people in there. But I started showing films from filmmakers, like independent filmmakers. And they actually come here, they introduce the film, and then they do a Q&A. And that's been really successful. So we've had 2 of them so far, and the last one was short films by a local woman, and we had a big crowd, and everybody saw all these cool short films. and there was like an hour Q&A afterward, asking her all questions about her process, what makes her want to make film, and that's what I want. I feel that there are a lot of films out there, and a lot of people have a lot to say, and they need a place to show them, and they're really on venues. I mean, movie theaters are closed.
Yeah.
In the Bronx right now, I think there's Bay Plaza, and I think that's about it.
Yeah.
When I grew up, there were movie theaters all over the place. I would go to movies all the time. So there are no movies here anymore. So I said, this might be good, especially for niche films, and we're showing like Detour, we showed The Stranger with Orson Welles, right? So we get that. Then we're showing low budget horror movies. We showed Abby, which is the African American Exorcist, which is banned. And next month we're showing Polyasari, which is Kim Jong-il's Godzilla movie, where he kidnapped the cast and kept them prisoner and made them work on this movie for free. And we're showing that next month. So my plan is I'm getting all these people to this theater to see movies that they really wouldn't see anywhere else. And that's cool. And we're getting like fans that are coming like all the time to see these really whacked out movies. So as far as being a filmmaker and being able to introduce people to these things that never knew existed, that's cool. And the lounge now, we opened the lounge back there, so we're going to actually have the screening of my movie this weekend, and then we're going to have a little lounge party. We'll have a Q&A back there. People hang out, have a couple of drinks, talk about film, and it's a cool community, and it's I think right now I think people are starving to get back.
Yeah,
to the real reality, not that like they say, new reality. That's not the new reality. The reality is that we got to get back to living, and I think that this came at a good time. We're starting to get people to come in here, and they're really supporting the theater, which I want to thank the people who support.
Yeah. It's amazing, and you're filling like a white space, right? You're offering something that no one we know does, and
where did you see an independent theater where you could see five lesbians eating quiche and then watch a movie that was banned that the Korean government goes after me? I'm afraid that the Korean government's going to come after me and I'm showing it. But that's cool. That's publicity for the movie.
Right.
And there's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm sorry. So, and we showed Abby, which has been banned. They burned the copy of it. I showed it here. I had a copy of it through filmmaker friends of mine. And people are like, how'd you get this? I go, don't ask questions.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
Just watch.
Just watch. Just enjoy it. Yeah.
So how did you figure out the teaching aspect? Like, I'd love to hear that. The age of kids that come in, and do you teach or do you teach with someone?
We just started it here, but what happened was a couple of years ago, they would do like a career day where they would ask the kids to bring their parents in to talk about their careers, right? So I went in there one day and I talked about the movies, but the kids were impressed. Nobody else was impressed. So one day, and it was so funny because it was pre-K. It really started at pre-K, and the parents were all freaked out that they were sending their kids to school for the first time, right? And I got to admit, I was a little freaked out too, right? You raise this kid, and also boom, you send them to strangers. So it's a weird thing. So they had this class every week, which discussed like your worries and fears, right? So now I was a stay-at-home dad, I retired, so I'm the only guy in the class, and I bring an apple pie. And I put the apple pie on the table. And all the mothers are looking, nobody wants to touch this apple pie. Like, nobody's touching it, right? So they had like, the schools had like half walls, so the people that were in the room could hear what was going on. So the principal came in, and the principal said, oh, who made apple pie? And he cuts a piece of the apple pie, and he goes, oh, I make a really good apple pie. I'm just going to let you know.
Oh, wow.
I don't give anybody the recipe either. So the guy, oh my God, this is the greatest apple pie I've ever had. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Who made this apple pie? So I put my hand, also an old woman. So I eat the pie, right? So he asked me, what do you like, he asked me, oh, Mr. Landi, what do you do? I said, I'm a filmmaker. Now in the next room were a husband and wife crew who were starting up a film class and couldn't figure out how to do it. They were lost. So they heard me. All of a sudden, they were so cute. This couple came and they go, who's the guy who talked about filmmaking? They go, come here, we're going to talk to you. So I went in the room and they have all this equipment out and software and stuff. They go, we don't know what we're doing. We got to start this class in 2 weeks. We don't know what we're doing. We're way over our head. Could you help us? I go, yeah, I can help you. What do you need? So I started teaching. For 2 years, I taught film in 304. I taught middle school kids. And we made films. And the last one we made was a film on bullying. And the kids really wanted to make a bullying film. It was like at the height of all of this stuff. And they came up with this really good script. And we wrote the script and we shot it. And the concept of the script was that there was this bully who was bullying all the kids. And at the end, they wanted like to show revenge on the bully. Like they wanted some kind of revenge. Now, if it was up to me, I would have had them cut him in half. You know, sushi him up. But we couldn't do that. So I showed them the last 10 minutes of the movie Freaks, right? If you've ever seen that movie, they want to kill this guy, this woman, and this guy because they abused one of their own, right? Mm-hmm. And what it is the camera was laying on the floor, and you have all of them coming into the camera, and it goes black. So the kids got it right away. But that's how we're going to shoot on it. So we're going to leave it up to the imagination of what happens.
Yeah.
But if you all have really mean faces on, and you all look angry, people are going to get the gist that take this guy. Kids love it.
Oh my God.
They love
amazing.
It. So we shot the movie, and of course, the PTA watches it, and I get called into the office.
Oh God. And,
which has happened many times in my life. And they say, you know, Mr. Landi, the film's really good, but you got to change the ending. So I go, why? They go, because it's too far. I go, you don't see anything. They go, yeah, but it's implied. I go, what are we, in the 1930s? I said, what is this, like pre-code? I said, this is the ending they wanted. They wanted to show that the bully gets what he deserved. The bully is a real dick, right? So they go, no, you're going to change it. So they go, here, this is how we want to change it. So I look at it, and I go,
oh no.
So I go to the class, and I have all the kids who really love the film, right? And I go, they want me to change it. Oh no. I don't own this. I'm working here as a volunteer. I'm not a teacher. I have no say.
How old are they again?
Middle grade is like third, fourth.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, like that. And I go, well, we got to do it. And the ending they wanted, which is so fucking stupid. It's like they have this guy, the one of the kids that gets abused through the whole thing. He's in the computer and the bully walks by. And he goes, oh, you like that video game? Oh, we're very much alike.
Oh, no.
So I basically quit the program.
Yeah.
I said, I can't do this. I said, because I broke those kids' hearts. They trusted me. I told them that there's going to be no censorship in my class. I want you to say what you want. I failed those kids. I can't go back and teach that class. Mm-hmm. So I started doing it here on City Island. I got a couple of kids that showed up to their thing. And these kids are out there building costumes. They're making costumes. They're building sets. They wrote this horrific. I was showing my reel. I cut all the gore out. And the kids wrote a script where they're basically chaining guys and drowning them and ghosting killing people on City Island Avenue. I'm like, oh, I have to cut my scenes with my reel. And the parents are backing off. I said, that's what they want to do. So
your kids came up with this.
They came up with this. And I showed them the reel. They know I make horror movies. So they're like, oh, we want to make a horror movie. And they were all into it. So the father was there. And the father goes, that's what they want to do. And fine. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm like, you're making me very happy. I thought you guys were going to come up with something that's stupid. So yeah, they're going to tie a guy with a rock, on execution rock. They're going to go on a boat. All this
oh
stuff.
my gosh, that's
so
amazing.
All the kids are getting their crew together because they got to play when they're young. When they're older, they're going to shoot in the cemetery. We got permission to shoot in the cemetery. So it's going to be really cool. And part of the cinema here, I think our mission statement with the cinema is to show movies, to have events, to show plays, to do art exhibits. We have a guy on the island who does beautiful glass, who blows glass. Mm-hmm. I want him to come and do a show here. So this is part entertainment, part community. I'm always about giving back to the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I was in politics for a long time. I signed the community board. I'm into giving back to the neighborhood. So I feel that a space like this, we could do a lot of good, especially teaching kids and getting kids into the film industry. And I have people that I'm working with on a project now, which I really can't talk about, that are major players that train kids to work on major TV shows. And that's kind of what I want to do. Like, when I was a kid, there was really nobody, like when I got out of school, there was nobody that said, okay, now you're going to go on this program. There was nothing. You were basically kicked out of the helicopter and you had to figure it out yourself. Yeah. So that's why I didn't become a filmmaker until after my career and I was retired. I said, well, now I can do this. Yeah. Because nobody was giving me a shout out. So now, if you train a kid and you put the book, when I shot the film, when I did the film class, I had 30 kids in the class, I think. At the end, 7 of them are really into it. And those kids go on to do stuff. That is pretty good. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So you put the bug in 7 kids' heads, and they go out and they do their thing, and maybe they put the bug and they pay it forward. Because I've been very lucky with mentors and people helping me. So my whole thing is to get back. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Especially seeing the kids so enthusiastic about this. But this is what happens when I was a kid. And I'm shooting 8 millimeter movies. This is what I did.
You're giving them an opportunity to express themselves. And it kind of, like, listening to everything you're saying makes me think, like, there's a common theme of just, you know, people want to let go of reality for a little bit, right? Especially after everything that we've been dealing with the past few years. And that's what I was thinking when I was here the other night when we came to see 5 lesbians eating a quiche. Because it's just like you have a minute to, you're not looking at your phone and you're just enjoying something that is so, like, you know, if people worked hard to put it together and you're just escaping and you can just relax and let go, you know?
Friends too is out there, which is really good.
And I love that you're encouraging kids to do that. And it's more like, okay, if you like glass blowing, come here and show us what you got. You know, you're opening that space for people, which I think is really amazing. I am curious to hear how you got hooked up with the production crew who wrote that play and then showed it here.
When we were, they're friends of mine, Kai and Tiger.
Okay.
They run the, I think it's Hands On Theater.
Have you worked with them before, or?
No. We're friends. And I know that they did Fringe Theater. And they've been, I'm not going to say crying because they don't cry. They're really cool. But they've been like saying, oh, we need a place to do this. Damn, we need a place to do this. And I told Tiger, I said, it's going to be my goal to get a place out here on City Island. I said, I don't care how hard I have to work. And it's been a struggle. We had a couple of spots that we wanted, and they didn't want to rent it. It was a struggle to get this done. And then, you know, people weren't sure about what I was going to do, this and that. So when this space opened up, I immediately spoke to Tiger. And I said, okay, I have a spot. And she goes, I don't believe this. I'm coming. And she came to and I was in the process of redoing the whole place, painting and everything. And I said, I told you I was going to give you a spot. Now it's your turn to produce. And she immediately got her theater group together and got this play.
Wow. So
she bought the rights to it. It was an Actors Equity play, so it's a real play. It wasn't like just a bunch of people. They bought the rights to the play.
Got it.
So it's a play that plays all over the country, and it has a following. And we had 4 sellout shows, which I was amazed. It's August on a beach where everybody likes to drink and go fishing and hang out. We had 4 sellout shows, and I was so, and they were happy. And I go, I told you. I said, if you build it, and I hope that if you build it, they will come.
Yeah. So
now, all of a sudden, we got publicity. We were getting a lot of interviews. We were on News 12. Now I'm getting texts from people saying, I have a 1-woman show. We were talking about the John Wilkes Booth project. Oh, you weren't here for that. One of my friends is a direct descendant of John Wilkes Booth.
Wow.
And they have a play called Booth. It's a 1-man play, and I'm talking to them about getting it. Mm-hmm. There's another woman who does a play. Another woman who approached me about doing her show. So it was like doing that, it opened the eyes to people what we can have out here. And that was my goal. My whole goal is don't talk, do. Don't like I listen to people all the time. I'm making a movie, I'm gonna make this movie, and 2 years later they do nothing. I'm the guy who says I'm gonna make a movie and the next day I go out and I start production. Yeah. So when I said I was gonna do this, I told everybody, I'm gonna get it done, but now you're gonna have to give me content. And that's what's happening. We're getting filmmakers that want to come here and show their movies. We're getting people who want to do productions here. So I think eventually this is going to be a major place on City Island because we have the coffee shop next door. We're going to open up the back there. Yeah. Next summer we're going to do drive-in movies out here. That's awesome. Yeah, this summer we just basically, it's August. We just basically got the lounge in this beautiful lounge that we're hanging in right now. Yeah. And I'm going to be living back here for a while. I actually like hanging out. But when I run movies and stuff, it's nice to be able to come back here. But I'm all about bringing people together, and we live on City Island where there's tons of writers, artists, photographers, musicians, and they don't really have. We have one place here, but we need more outlets. And we needed a theater because now, and if you're interested in renting the theater out. Filmmakers want to show their movies, you can rent the theater out, you want to have a kids' party and show a movie, we're going to do all of that. Yeah. Pop-ups, we already have somebody who wants to do a pop-up here. So we're going to be open to do all community type stuff.
That's awesome.
So we want to do everything.
Yeah.
We want to try to do everything.
That's amazing. Do you have any last words and advice for anyone who maybe is considering trying to break into the film industry, but they're not sure where to start or pinpoint how to get moving, or open their own space like this, you know?
A friend of mine is a pretty famous filmmaker, a really good friend of mine. He makes HBO films and stuff, right? And my niece was over, and my niece, I guess she caught the bug from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to school for film. And we had a whole discussion 2 weeks ago. We sat down and we talked, and I kind of asked her where she was, what she wanted to do. And she wanted to go into editing, right?
Wow.
And I go, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard, because editing will always work. Everybody wants to go to film school and be Steven Spielberg. They want to be the famous guy who sits in the chair and goes, cut, stop. I'm a director, but I'm also a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a creator. So the only reason I do all of that is because I want total control over my project.
Yeah.
I don't shoot my film because I have a great cinematographer, but I do everything else. So I'm like, the advice I would give you right now, the thing that Antonio told my niece was, go to medical school. So, and we laughed about it. And he said, he goes, listen, he goes, and he basically told her that she had direction and she was going to editing, which is the best thing you can do, because there's always a need for editors. And you work on your own. You can work alone all the time. I love editing is my favorite part of the project. It's basically
you're like bringing it together.
Bringing it together, and you're creating a world there. So my advice is get an education. So if filmmaking doesn't work out, you can pay the bills. I was lucky enough to have a career before filmmaking, so I could be a flagrant filmmaker and do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that option. So I would tell people, film school, it's a good start, but you should get an education doing something else. You should learn to do something. I almost got in trouble because we filmed a movie and we filmed in a law office, right? And the kid's son was there one day and he goes, oh, I'd like to work on your movie. So he worked on Blood March Raccoon. And at the end of the movie, he decided he wasn't going to law school, he was going to film school.
Wow.
So now, no, it's not good. So I get a phone call from the father. What the hell did you do? My son wants to go to film school, blah, 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 this and that. So he goes, what did you do? I go, I didn't do nothing. I said, whatever. So I had to talk with him. I said, go to law school. He goes, no, I'm going to make my film. I'm going to make my film. So I told the father, let him make the film. He still has 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't hear from him. So I called him a couple of months later. I go, Kevin, how'd your film come out? I'm going to law school. So he realized that he liked the concept of it, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And after doing all that work, there is really, unless you get picked up by a big company, there's really nothing for you. It's getting your art done. And that's why I can do whatever I want, because I don't have to depend on that to pay the bills. Yeah. So if I want to make a movie about Bill Cosby, I make a movie about Bill Cosby. If I want to make a movie about a giant woodlouse that eats people, I can make it. I don't have to answer to anybody. And I actually won a Spirit Award last year because I don't give a crap about what I do.
Yeah.
They say Jerry can make a documentary about a Holocaust survivor. They make a crack at the Raccoon, a horny Bigfoot movie, which was my Bronx Bigfoot movie. He does what he wants, and he doesn't care what they say or what they do. He's happy, he succeeds, and he moves on. So I always tell people, do what makes you happy, because jobs suck. If you go to a job every day that you hate, you're on the wrong track. Yeah. If you want to be a filmmaker, make sure you have a backup, because it's not always going to work out. You talk to hundreds of actors in New York City who are waiting tables right now, right? Yep. So it's the best advice I can give you is get an education and then have a background, have a backdrop. So if things doesn't work out, you can always compete. Yeah. So it's important.
Or go into editing.
Go into editing, yeah. If you're going to be a filmmaker, don't be the big director who everybody's going to kiss your ass. I don't like anybody kissing my ass. In the beginning, I was very embarrassed to go up and talk about myself, you know? And the people said, well, you have to. And I'm like, well, I kind of feel embarrassed doing that. Yeah. But if you want to promote your films, you got to go out there and you got to talk. Yeah. You got to get people interested. So.
Awesome. That was really good advice. I'm so excited to see this space take off and so much more to come. So thank you for talking with me today.
This is great.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. Please like, review, and subscribe so we can help the channel continue to grow. And if you're interested in connecting with any of the guests, please let me know, and I'd be happy to make the introduction.